Getting what you want in life is not magic. It is mechanics. I had two things happen to me in the matter of like 5 days, and it just reminded me the power of intention and focus to, quote, manifest your desires. And most importantly, to let it be easy. That's what I was reminded of. Because anytime you're trying really hard to get a wanted result, whether it's money or love or success or grow your business, and you're not, it means there's an internal misalignment. You have resistance. And when you have internal resistance, you can struggle and effort all you want, but you're actually creating more resistance and repelling the exact thing you want. So today I'm going to break down how to get results faster, to get out of your own way and understand the mechanics behind manifestation, so you can start having a whole lot more fun. And remember, let it be easy. So real quick, let me give you these two things that happened to me in literally the last week. So one, I had been craving cinnamon rolls for about 2 weeks. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the store, get the ingredients, and I'll make my own. Now this is really important. And I have learned through repetition and practice, I follow intuitive nudges. They don't have to make sense, but you have to follow those nudges. Kind of like the thought, turn left. I don't know I need to turn left. Or, you know, I need to send that email. Or go to the store and a book falls off the shelf. But for me, last week, I had been craving cinnamon rolls, out running errands, and I had this random thought to go to Trader Joe's. Now, I don't shop at Trader Joe's, but it was on my route where I was running errands, so whatever, I follow the nudges. And guess what? I don't know if Trader Joe's samples, but they just happen to, and I'm putting that in quote, because synchronicities and serendipities are normal when you start paying attention. So I walk in Trader Joe's and I'm kind of walking up and down, and they're sampling cinnamon rolls, and it was warm and it was gooey. And so that was just a fun reminder to let it be easy, to have a clear intention, to follow the intention. So yes, there is action involved. And let life surprise you. Now here's the second one. And especially if you're up against a wall or you're totally frustrated and no matter what you do, you're not getting wanted results. So here's what happened to me. My driver's license is set to expire end of this month. So I went into the DMV last Friday to renew my driver's license. I walk in and they denied me access, saying we don't take walk-ins, you have to schedule an appointment online. And it was empty. And I was like, what do you mean? There's nobody here. I'm here now. Why can't you help me? We don't accept walk-ins. You have to schedule an appointment online or call this number. So I call the number a couple times. Nobody responds. So I go on, schedule an appointment. Guess the first appointment I can get a month from now, after my license will already have expired. And I'm like, how the hell could it take a month to renew my driver's license? So whatever. I decided I'll play the game. So on Friday, I went in, scheduled an appointment a month from now. And on Monday, I was like, nah, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna get it done today. So I go in, they deny me once again. And I was like, can I talk to a manager? So I talked to a manager. And again, she tells me she can't help me. They don't accept walk-ins. They're short-staffed. And I asked, I'm trying to let it be easy. And I was like, okay, is there another day or time that you do accept walk-ins that I can come in? And I explained, I can't get in for a month. It will already have been expired. I'm trying to get it done now. She denies me. Call this number, schedule an appointment. So again, I try calling the number and nobody answers the number. So that's when I stopped. This is where you have to stop the momentum of the friction and the resistance that you're up against in any area of life. Stop the friction. And I know this. I understand the mechanics of manifesting. So I go home, get out of my own way, take a breather, and I set a clear intention. So that's the first step. When it comes to manifesting, you have to know what you want. So you have to have a clear intention, no matter your current circumstances. So look at where you're currently at in life, whether it's your dollars or health or relationships or business. If you're not where you want to be, stop looking at what is, which is simply a reflection, and it's old news based on who you're being. I'll get into that. But this is where you must start. You have to have clear intention. So I decided, I'm not playing their game. This is my game. I know the mechanics, and I'm getting my license renewed this week. That's my clear intention. getting it renewed this week. So I go on and I start working and I have the browser up and I refreshed it a couple times. But again, earliest appointment is a month from now. I'm like, whatever. Clear intention. I created the belief. I imagined it. And you do have to take action. So long story short, over the next couple hours, I refreshed my browser a handful of times. And then guess what happened? I refreshed it and all of a sudden, quote, all of a sudden, an appointment became available the next day at 9 a.m. So this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. Now there's an appointment available Tuesday at 9 a.m. And that's when I was like, just a reminder to let it be easy. You get clear on what you want. You create belief, removing internal resistance, which for me was frustration and impatience, knowing it was done and taking action by refreshing my browser. Now, let's get into the mechanics for you so that you get really clear on what you want and understand your role and the action you need to take to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. Now, a lot of people are focused on linear time, 5-year goals. It's going to take 6 months. It's going to take 2 years. No, it's not. It doesn't necessarily take time. It takes alignment. Things can happen quickly and oftentimes what feels like or seems like overnight. So for example, in business, and I've experienced this, you could be hustling and grinding and crickets for months and then all of a sudden, things start happening quickly and you have all of this momentum. So you have to understand the gestation period, which is what it's called, or like the idea of the unfolding, so you get out of your own way. Now let's get into your role when it comes to manifesting. I love this quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. You don't attract what you want in life, you attract what you are. So for example, you might want financial freedom, abundance, a lover, success in business. But if you are full of stress, self-doubt, disbelief, or inconsistent habits, there's a disconnect, a misalignment. So let's get into the mental programming side of this. So your conscious mind, which is 5% of the picture, is where you have your goals, wishes, dreams, desires. So your conscious mind is the 5% in which you can set the clear intention. However, if you don't become aware of the 95%, your subconscious mind, which is driving your habits, this is what creates the resistance, the misalignment. And when you have resistance, no hustle and grind in the world is going to get you to where you want. Or if it does, it's going to lead to stress, burnout, and take a whole lot longer than it would have if you just got out of your own way. So let's break down the 3 pieces that have gotten you to where you're at, your current results. And it's simple. The formula goes like this. It's your thoughts that create your emotional states, and it's your emotions that drive your habits, your behaviors. These 3 combined have created your current results. That's it. Literally, that's it. You have to understand these 3 pieces in play. Now, what's really happening here, your thoughts and emotions are driven by the state and identity you operate from. So what's really going on here is the subconscious, which is driving everything. So for example, if you come from a state and identity that money's hard to come by, I have to work hard, there's never enough, life becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You live into the stories you tell. So if you don't like your current results, we have to change what's going on internally. Another way I like to say this is your identity creates your reality. So let's look at your current results, and this is what I want you to do. Literally get pen to paper. If you don't like the current results in your health, in your finances, in relationships, or business, we can now reverse engineer to figure out what's going on underneath the surface in the subconscious mind. Now, once you become aware, so the first step to creating change in your life is always awareness. Once you become aware of the thoughts, emotions, and habits that's driving everything, creating unwanted results, now you have the power of choice. And whatever you aren't changing, you're choosing by default. So now that you're aware, now you can create a clear aim. And the aim is the clear intention. All right, you know what? I want more money. I want financial freedom. I want abundance. I want a thriving relationship. I want to grow my business. You get really clear on what you want. Okay, who do I have to be? What would be natural as the version of me who already has it? And this is when it comes to shifting the state and identity that you operate from. Because if you don't shift your money beliefs or what you believe is possible in love and relationships, and you don't change your habits, and you don't change the emotions like stress, fear, doubt, dwelling on the past, that's literally the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting new results. And what's happening right now is the results you have are simply looping these three pieces: your thoughts, emotions, and habits. That's why you have to change from the inside out. You have to change the cause identity that's creating every effect, outcome, and result in your life, which is exactly what I coach my clients through. If you want to fast track where you are, get out of your own way, and start having wanted results in all of the major life buckets, I invite you to apply for one-on-one coaching. You can click on the link below in the description box or visit my website, heatherhakes.com. All right, now that you understand the moving pieces, the subconscious mind, which is driving identity, thoughts, emotions, and habits create every result. Now that you understand, how do you actually close the gap from where you are to where you want to be? It's a phenomenal question. Thank you for asking. So here's how you do it. Step 3, and again, this is everything that I coach my clients through, is the daily application. Now, what I mentioned is you have to ask the question, who is the version of me in which it would be natural for me to have financial abundance? What is the version of me? Who do I have to be to attract or be in a thriving relationship? What version of me, who would I have to be in my thoughts, emotional states, and habits to have a thriving business? So what this really is about, breaking down who you're currently being, getting really clear on who you would have to be, and closing the gap is how you literally rewire your subconscious mind. Because remember, identity creates reality, and your subconscious mind is what's driving everything. So let's just do it real quick. You have to get really clear. Remember, right here, awareness is the first step to creating change in your life. So you have to get clear on who you've been. Let's call this 1.0. So let's say you're living in emotions like stress, fear, self-doubt, or you're dwelling on the past. Now let's look at your habits. You're inconsistent. You numb out on vices, and you procrastinate. I imagine you can see that if you're living in these emotional states and these are your habits, of course you're going to have unwanted results. Because the version of you that is financially free or abundant, the version of you that is healthy, that is fit, that is confident, the version of you in a thriving relationship cannot be living by these emotional states and having those kind of habits. Inconsistent habits create inconsistent results. So what emotions would you have to be living from to create wanted results? You would have to, number one, have a regulated nervous system. Because I can promise you, if you're living in these emotional states, you're dysregulated. And when you're dysregulated, think of it like internal static chaos, that resistance. When you're dysregulated and chaotic internally, you can only experience that in all of the other results. So if your relationships are in a rut, okay, well, what's going on internally? If you're constantly living in lack, fear, and scarcity, of course your bank balance is zero or negative. So who would you have to be? What emotional states would you have to start living from? Well, you'd have to have a regulated nervous system. You'd have to be confident. Gratitude is a magnetic for creating what you want. Because think about it. When you're living in a state of gratitude, you're grateful, you're thankful, you're in appreciation for something that's already happened, right? You're not in lack and scarcity, doubt, and dwelling on the past. So as an example, these are emotional states you'd want to be living from. Well, what would your habits have to be? Well, obviously you'd have to be consistent. You'd have to understand your vices and either limit them or eliminate them. And obviously procrastination is never going to get you there. You have to follow through. So think about this and look at this and put yourself in this picture. When you shift from this version of you and you start being this version of you, the desired results that you want in your finances, health, relationships, and business become inevitable, because life is always a reflection of your internal state. Life is always reflecting who you are being. And once you upgrade what's going on internally, the external has to follow. Now, let me summarize this real quick so you understand your takeaways. There's 3 steps when it comes down to getting out of your own way and starting to create wanted results. You have to become self-aware of what's going on internally. Thoughts, the emotions you're living from, and your habits. Second step, despite where you're currently at, you need a clear aim. You need a clear intention on what you want. Your brain is a goal-achieving machine. It needs a target. Third and final step, it comes down to literally upgrading the state and identity you operate from so that what you want is a natural byproduct of who you are being. Let me know what questions you have. Drop them below in the comment box. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you're the first to know when new videos drop. And give me a thumbs up. I'll catch you on the next one.